Alright, what's up everyone? This is my Comic-Con survival guide. Okay, now this is kind of what's worked for me. I mean, you could try this stuff and it may help you, or you can do your own thing and that might be better. So, alright, so let's start with this. For me, anyway, headphones. These really help with the noise level because sometimes, especially like on Saturdays, it could be really loud. And that might not bother some people, but I mean, if you have like anxiety and stuff like how I do, loud environments will bother me because it'll be like too much stuff is going on and I can't focus on anything, so I get all, nervous or whatever. So definitely having headphones helps, especially if you're waiting in long ass lines. It helps to have something to listen to, or even like if you're just like watching a video or something while you're waiting in line. I feel like that really helps rather than just staring at each other. Or, I mean, you can also like look into other cosplay and stuff, but for me, definitely headphones helps. Okay, backpack. You want a backpack that has like multiple zippers, so you can fit lots of stuff that if you're gonna buy anything or anything or stuff that you're gonna take with you to get signed. Also, better to bring stuff in with you that might not go through security, as sad it is. But I mean, I don't know. So I definitely a good backpack helps. I've seen people like just carry all their stuff. I mean, you can carry a lot of the stuff. Sometimes some of the stuff is too big to carry in a backpack, but if you could fit it in a backpack, put it in a backpack. That's what I would recommend. Okay, so here we have a protein bar. These cons will rip you off with the price of food and stuff. I mean, if you want to get food at the con, fine, but if you're more like trying to save along the way, or you don't want to go out of your way to go get food there and then or leave and come back, this is a really good method. And normally, especially like with a bigger size, like, or a bigger amount like this, like 20 grams, normally I could eat like half of one and be good for like 3 hours, and if I need another one, I could have another one. So this is like really good, like if you get hungry and you don't want to leave, but you could just like easily just sneak this in one of your pockets, and you're able to eat there. And same thing with these. I've never had to use these, but I always bring a couple just in case, because once again, how loud it is, you might get a headache with how loud it is. Now, you might not get a headache if you have your headphones, but if you're not wearing headphones, you could easily get a headache because people are screaming, everyone's talking. So that's, I might take like a couple of these. I haven't had to take one yet at a con, probably because I wear headphones, but I just bring it just in case, because you never know. It's like if you've got a headache and you can't really do anything about it. Okay, this here got a phone charger, or any kind of charger. It's always good to bring one of these along in case you have downtime. You could charge your phone or charge your devices, or if you're recording stuff like how I am, you're always worrying like, oh my, do I have enough battery before I go into this panel, or oh, do I have enough battery to do this? So definitely bringing the charger, I think, is a good idea. And here we have I have a poster tube here, and they have all kinds of different ways that they make this. And I think that this is good to take to protect the stuff that you're getting signed, or if you just bought something, I think it's a good way to protect it, because people don't care. I mean, I shouldn't say this. They're unaware. Okay, so you'll be herded like cattle going through these small aisles, and people will not care. They'll bump into you. They'll step on your shoes. It's a madhouse sometimes. So definitely protecting the stuff that you got signed helps, right? So whether you do it in this, or, I mean, this isn't as protected, but I had it in my backpack. That was from Kurt Angle's thing. But like if it's like something like this, I have it in 3 folders, so that way, no matter what, it's protected and it's in my backpack. So definitely protecting the stuff that you get signed. And then another thing is being, like after you get something signed, just air it out for a little bit. So even if you have to step away, go in a corner and just like sit for like 15 minutes or so for it fully to air out, that's a really good thing, because you don't want to like roll it up right away and then it gets smushed and ruins the signature you just got. So that's another tip I have. Another thing, like I said before in the Denver Fan Expo one, deodorant. Okay, and if you can't bring this in there, bring wet wipes or something. Okay, because I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, especially because of how close you are to people, like I'll get hot and I'll sweat. So I double up, before I go, and I always bring this, just in case. I mean, obviously showering beforehand, but it's a lot of these places really aren't ventilated well, so you're gonna be in a damn sauna almost. But yeah, those are some of the things I think that you should bring. Now, what other tips would I say? I would say plan your days accordingly. So by that I mean that normally cons are 3 days. Fridays, some people might show up, but most people probably won't be there. Most of the guests probably won't be there. Saturdays is when a lot of people will go there, and I've had a lot of experience where some guests will only show up on Saturday. Like even at this past con, like Kurt Angle was only available Saturday from 11 to 2. So only like a 3 hour window, only one day. So you kind of have to prioritize stuff like that. So like when I got there, I was like, okay, as soon as I get there, get in his line as soon as possible. And that's what I did, and I was able to get it signed. Saturday, and I would say be ready for that, because Saturdays, you're going to have the most people. That's when everyone and their mother's going to be there. So anticipate big lines and long waits. Sundays, I would say, are overall more chill. There's a few less people, but I would say that it's kind of a little bit more of a crunch to get things done. So if you haven't gotten a lot of your stuff signed by Sunday, you better, get there and be ready in gear, because even though the cons may end at 5, usually a lot of the guests will leave at like 3 or 4. Like they will not stay the whole time. So I would say that that's an important thing, is to plan it accordingly. So maybe like Friday, if you know there's going to be a bunch of them there, you knock out a whole bunch of those autographs, versus like waiting till Saturday where you're going to have to be waiting in longer lines and you get less autographs. Or if someone's only going to be there on one day, prioritize that one person first. If you really want to meet that person, you have to prioritize that first. So that's another thing I would say. This is going to sound like a paradox. I would say plan out some things, but don't plan out everything, right? Because most of the times you could have every single detail planned out, but it's not going to go according to plan, right? Like maybe like a person will cancel early, or maybe all of a sudden they're only available for a certain amount of time. So you kind of have to prioritize that. And, debating, well, do I really want to be in line for an hour? Or do I really want to, so it's that kind of a thing where you have to plan things kind of. And no, obviously if you have like a layout of where the venue is, that's really helpful. Or if you could get a map, or sometimes the app will show you like where everything is. But if you can actually go to the venue, I think that's like even more beneficial, because then you could actually see where everything is and be like, okay, well, I know I got to go this way as soon as I get here, go in this person's line, and then maybe go to this panel. And always, I would say another thing is have a plan B. Have a plan B, because if plan A doesn't work out, like, oh, I want to go to this person's panel, but I don't want to lose my spot in line. Well, unfortunately, you're going to have to pick between the two, and whatever's more important to you, you got to do, right? So I would say that. I would say another thing is, like patience, being patient. Not only with being patient, like with others, like with other con goers, with, whatever celebrities or guests are there. I would say also being patient with yourself. And I'm gonna talk about what I mean, because I know that I do this sometimes, where if things don't go according to plan, I'm like, oh my God, I should have planned this better. I should have done this better. But it's also being patient with yourself, right? It's like, right, you're in an environment with thousands of people, tons of different variables. Something's going to go wrong, and you can plan the best you can, but you're not going to be able to plan for every single thing in advance, right? So I would say that's another thing. Oh, another thing I forgot, if you can bring it. Okay, now it's so weird how some of these cons are. Water is an important thing, because like I said before, with how hot it is, some people may not, they might be more run cold or whatever, but if you run hot like I do, you're going to be sweating a lot, and it's going to be, you want to be, hydrated. So I would say bring in water if you can. Some of them allow, like I don't have it with me, but the metal water bottles, some of them don't. But now they're even like the Colorado Springs ones, they're like, oh, you can't bring plastic water bottles in here. It's like, why? And I know some cons are doing this because they want you to buy drinks in there, which I think is bullshit. Everyone should have right to water, and you shouldn't be like, oh, well, you can't bring that in because you didn't buy that in here. Who gives a shit? I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to go on a rant, but if you can't bring in a full water bottle, maybe crush it and then like hide it in your bag somewhere. Then just like, puff it out so that you can have a water bottle for the thing. Because I think that's one of the worst things, is not having water and not being able to hydrate yourself. So that's another thing I would say to try to bring in there, or even if you have to buy it, just buy it right away. But another tip I would say is find a spot where you could take a break. Because it can, I don't know about you, but for me it's pretty exhausting to jump from line to line to line to line to line. So maybe like prioritize it. So if it's like a really big person, like, okay, I'm gonna wait in this long line, then I'm gonna take a break, then go to the other smaller people. So I think that taking breaks is very important, not just, just not just physically, but mentally, because it could just be exhausting just being around that many people and having your patience tested again and again. So I would say another important thing is to just take a break. Take a break. Maybe like jump between two lines, then after that go take a break, because you don't want to be like going from line to line to line to line to line. It's just going to be draining for you, and you're not going to enjoy the experience as much. Another thing I would say is, I mean, if you're more of a social person, you might be better at this than I am. But some people, depending on who you meet, some people will talk, some people won't. Some people will just sign it and then just move you along, which is fine. Some people will actually talk to you. I've noticed that it's mainly, it's not in all cases, but in mainly if it's like the bigger the person, the more they're going to be like, okay, go sign, go hi, bye, go. Whereas if it's a smaller person, if it's like a actor that doesn't have as many roles or they're not as widely known, they might be more willing to talk with you if you want to do that thing. And I like to do that too. Engage with them a little bit. I would say that if you're looking for more of that kind of an interaction, that you might want to go for more kind of like smaller people. Now, if you want a bigger person, that's fine, but don't expect them to just spend 10 minutes talking to you because they got a huge line of people that they got to get through. So I would say that that's another thing. What else? Oh, I would say this also. Another thing to bring is cash in advance. Okay. When you go to these things, I mean, I did notice that this time around that there were more people that had credit card options, but most of the time it's going to be cash. And I mean, I think you can take 50s and 100s, but I just take 20s just to be safe, because I don't want to be like, oh, well, I don't want to wait in a long line, then get all the way to the end and be like, oh, well, we don't accept large bills. I'm like, I think it's just good to take, like 20s or 10s, take smaller bills, even though you might have a lot of it, but trust me, going through a con, you'll blow through that easily. Like there's been cons where I've blown through like $400 or $500, but I saved for it months in advance, but you'll blow through that easily. Oh, the last thing I would say is that have fun. I mean, it seems like the most dumbest tip, but it's the truth. Have fun. There's going to be things that are going to be annoying. There's going to be things that might upset you, like if you might miss out on something or someone changes the schedule last minute, but just try to enjoy the experience. Overall, you're there to have a good time. You're there to meet some people that you watch, or some people that you enjoy, and to meet people that have similar interests. Like there's also another thing that you can do that, I mean, I try to do this more, but when you're in these long lines, talk to people. Talk to the person in front of you, talk to the person behind you, say, hey, where are you getting signed? And I mean, you're not going to be that person's best friend, but at least it'll help time go by and that you meet someone who might have a common interest as you do. So those are the tips that I have. So like I said, I'll bring all this stuff and listen to the tips I gave, and maybe make your own tips. Whether you take what I do or you learn something on your own. But I would just say that, like, just overall have a somewhat of a guide, and don't just walk into it blind. So anyway, I hope this helps somebody, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.